Hello, my name is Ralph and welcome back to the channel. It's my time, let's go. Today we're going to be working away on our shovel heads for Margaret, and we're hoping to make some headway with them and figure out all the different things that got to be done and cut our seats and get everything set. And I've kind of decided on putting like an A-grind cam in it because they work really nice in those 74s as I recall. So we're going to set the heads up for that, and we're going to go along and do what we do and see how far we get today. I'll try and get our rocker arms apart here and get these rocker boxes cleaned out so I can send them off to be powder coated. So we're going to see if we can get them apart. Take all the plugs out everywhere because you don't want glass bead stuck in any of the passages. Takes time in dealing with each and every part and inspecting each and every piece to make sure everything's okay. Now there's lots of stuff to replace on Margaret, but there's also lots of very usable parts. And the rocker arms all look to be good in this. So now we're going to tap the rocker arms out. One, two, a little washer again. Pretty good. There's still a nice fit in there. All right, ready to go to the coaters. No, I'm gonna have to lock it in this side so we can get that nut off. That one's rested on there. I doubt if these will come loose now. No, so we'll have to take them out, hold them in a vise to get these off. All right. Okay. That one's going to need a bushing in the end, definitely. One, I'd say that shaft, I hit that in the wire wheel and have a look, but I think that shaft is destroyed. Yeah, the nut kind of destroyed that, took the center section out. So, need a new shaft for that. But, fortunately for me, I got digging around in my stuff that I have. That one's toast. So I do have, that one's toast. And I do have a brand new one here, which I found in my stuff, so I'm going to be able to use that. But this one here is okay. But the rest of them, I don't know exactly what caused that. Something they seized on there and they tore the threads all up. So I'm going to need 2 new shafts. So out of the 4 shafts, only one was any good because the other ones are all torn up. It looked like they were over torqued on there and stripped the threads because they just destroyed all 3 of them. Well, so I have one and I'm going to need 2 more rocker shafts. You can see that they're all, threads have been chewed up there. And 3 out of 4 is like that. They've all been destroyed. Each and every one. Only one of them was any good. Along with the rocker arm bushings. They're loose in it, so we're going to put new rocker arm bushings in some of them. Always something. Rocker arms are okay. So we'll just have to order up some new parts for that and replace that because somebody has over torqued them. Okay. More parts. So I'll go put that on my list. I think what I might do today now next is to I'll get these heads beaded a little bit. Doesn't look too bad. The less dirt I get in there for bead blasting, the better. Okay, got them cleaned up as much as I'm gonna there. Seats look salvageable in them. Might take a cut out of here to see what I'm gonna get in there before I go too far, but we'll give it a shot. So we'll put a pilot down in here and I'm gonna take a couple of cuts. I'm certainly not gonna do the valve job, but I'm gonna check and see that I can cut down to the level where there's no problem with the seat. Getting there. I think it's just a matter of how much depth, and I'll end up on the other end with the the valve sticking out. But we have managed to clean the seat up in there. So I'm happy about that. I'll give the intake one a shot. Alright, the seat's coming on that one too, so we'll be able to salvage that. So we'll put a valve in there, and I think that the valve stem protrusion for 74s is 565, but don't quote me on that. I'm gonna check on it. Let's see what we got just as a rough 581. I think you go from the shoulder on that, on the 74s. 1H 581, and I think it's 1H 565, but I'm going to double check on that. Either way, I'm well within specs, so the seat's not down too far, and that's a good thing. Yeah, we're able to cut a nice seat on that, no problem. And the rear one is not messed up either, so I think we should be okay with that. And that one is going to be just fine as well. So I'm pleased with that, and so I'm going to go along and glass bead these heads and get them ready to get ready. And then I'll order up some valves, and then we'll do them. So I'll clean them up and I'll come back. So it's the end of the day now, and I've pretty well got my heads done, and they're ready to be fitted with the valves and things like that. I need to wash them out yet and get them all cleaned out, and then I need to get my valves and lap them all in, and I'm going to check my spring spacing depending on what I put in for a cam. But the worst of it is over, and I'm very happy with what I found. I've been able to cut the seats out and clean out any bit of rust or pitting down to a clean surface without having to go too deep. And they're looking pretty good. In the sunshine here, she's a little bright, but you get the idea from what they were. I'm gonna flip one over here where it's not quite so bright. But glass beading them really cleans the heads all up, and it takes all the crud out. And now, those heads, I know, are going to be perfectly usable. And I've got valves and stuff, so check one thing off the list there that we're going to be able to keep. So, such is the saga, and that's the way it goes with anything that you're building. You never know what you got till you get right down into it and get at it. So, today, that was the plan, to glass bead them all off and make sure that I could cut them seats and that they weren't going to be a problem, and they're not. All right. So today we're working at the heads here on Margaret, and I've decided that I'm going to try and clean up the ports a little bit. They're not too bad, but on the intake ports there's quite a ridge, and every little bit helps when you're trying to do that. Now I know it's probably difficult to see, but inside of this there's quite a ridge on the inside. And we're going to try and smooth that out just so that the flow goes the way it's supposed to. So we're also going to try to clean some of the ridges out of here at the intake. This one's not too bad, and it's fairly smooth in there. But this one, I don't know whether you can see it in the top, there's quite a ridge up in here, right in this area. And that's your intake area, and it'll cause turbulence in the air going in there. So we're just going to clean those ports up a little bit, smooth them out. I'm not doing head porting or anything, but just trying to clean up some ridges so when the air hits it, it doesn't go turbulent around the ridges. You know, if you've got an edge like that and the air comes in, it'll want to curl. And we want a nice straight flow right straight through. So we're going to go in there with little sanding discs and clean that up and try to get those smoothed out as much as we can, just to help it breathe a little bit better. So we're going to go ahead and do all the head work here, and I'm going to set all the springs and everything up for that 450 lift cam, and that should make old Margaret just sing along just nice. All right, now it's not a critical thing by any means, and it's just me being myself, but any little bit you can do to help the thing to breathe a little better can't hurt. I'm not going overboard with Margaret. I'm going to put like an A2 probably cam in it. Gives you a little longer exhaust duration and gives you some more power, but it's not on the radical side, so it won't be cause for a lot of modifications. We just want a good strong running motor in this with a little extra prep. So we'll be doing a 3-angle valve job on it as well and cleaning up everything we can in the heads, because if you can't breathe, you can't make power. All right, let's just don't pretend it's a Jerry Branch and you're trying to do these heads up and port them all out when you don't have the equipment to do such. You also want to stay away from this final lip here. So you make sure that you're cleaning it up down below that and that you don't get up to that lip, because we don't want to thin that out. So I'm going to continue to work away at these, and when I've got them cleaned up a little bit, I'll come back and show you progress that we've made on it and have a look at it. Hey, for a bonus today, Gus has dropped in and got some parts that he needed, a little chain guard and stuff for his shovel hit that's going to put the final touches on to get him on the road legal, and that's what we're looking for. So things are going good with you?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
So happy, yeah.
I'm just this close. I'm gonna go for my mechanics fitness inspection here next week, and everything is on it that needs to be on it. Because you gotta have it.
Yeah.
And what you do afterwards, that's entirely up to yourself.
That don't matter.
But the mechanics inspection has to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what I need.
Yeah.
And I get my antique plate, and
here we go.
We're cruising.
And then he's out rolling down the road with it. So good to see you today.
Good to see you, Ralph. Thanks for giving me my parts.
Glad I could help you out.
It's
and,
awesome.
Drive safe out there and get some miles on that old shop.
I absolutely will.
Cool.
You'll see it down here soon.
Yeah.
You will.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
All right.
All right. We're just going lightly in here. We're just taking the ridge off. Don't go in there and go too far. Just very, very lightly. Try to get the edge out. So, that looks pretty good. Now you can see that the ridge is gone. We've just cleaned it up to take that out. So now your airflow will come in there nice and smooth and not be fighting around any edges. Once again, just deal with the edge of it. If it's raised up a little bit, just kind of taper it down a little bit. Don't go in and try to take it all out of the ports, because then you'll have heads that flow good at 10,000 RPM and nothing else. This one's not too bad, just needs to be smoothed out a little bit. This one know if that helps or not, but you can see that ridge that around the top in there, that there's definitely a big ridge. And I'm not talking about the outside ridge where the exhaust fits in, I'm talking about in behind it there. Now you should be able to see on this one that we've just smoothed the edges out in there so that there's no sharp corners or ridges. And I know that the picture's not the best there, but you get the idea. Don't start going way down in there, just work on that edge lip and get that smoothed out so that it's just a nice taper in there so that the air will flow. If you think about water rolling out something, you know, any kind of little edge, it'll create pooling and such. And that's what we're working on getting rid of. Nothing exotic, because this is not an exotic big motor and everything, but taking a few minutes to do those kind of things just helps with the breathing, and I like to do it. So if you feel the need to clean it up a little bit in the combustion chamber, you want to be very careful that the sanding discs don't hit your seats. So the thing to do is just put an old set of valves in there, and the valves will protect your seat, so any sanding or anything you do in there, you won't get at the seat. So that's what I do, and it works very well. Now these seats in the shovels have pretty strong rigid areas here that could be knocked down and stuff, but I hesitate to do that too much, because the more you take out of there trying to smooth them out, the more you open up the combustion chamber with more combustion. And I'm not going to be putting, you know, big top high compressing pistons into this, so I don't really want to go there and take too much off to affect the flow in there. So we just clean it up, take the rough edges out. So just remember that if you want to do that, put a set of old valves in there, and then you don't have to worry about hitting the seats. Okay, so now we're looking like we've pretty well got it done inside. As you can see, now you can get a pretty good look in there, and I've just taken the sharp edges off, that's all. Don't go way in there hogging material out. Just get the rough edges off of it. Here's the intake that had those very sharp edges inside. And as you can see, all the sharp edges are gone. So the intake flow will go in there nice without any turbulence. The other one. Same with the exhaust port. Very nice. All right, so that should do it. So now I'm just gonna go along and cut all my seats. I'll pay attention to my measurements of how far the valve is sticking up. Maybe I'll sink something down like 1/10 thou or so just to get a little bit on the other end. Take some time to do the cipher and to get it all figured out right, but it'll pay off in the end. So I'll go along, get set up for that, and then we'll do that. If you're wondering what I use for these, they're just little mini flap wheels. You can get them on Amazon or wherever. It doesn't have to be anything really expensive. And they come in different grits, like 80, 120. This particular one's a 10-piece set. 20 wheels with all different sizes in there. So that's all it takes. Little die grinder. I have the air die grinder that works there, but any little die grinder will work there for you. Okay, so now I'm just going along and going over the seats. I had cut them pretty well before, just to make sure that there was no pits in them. That looks good all around. So we're going to go ahead and do the rest of them. I'll finish up my exhaust ones. Then I'm going to put them in, take some measurements, and get the spring set up for the final height and such that they should be. So the last thing I'm going to do here before I start setting things up is run my little ball hone, and this is a little hone for 3/8 valve guides, just to make sure there's no crud in there. Trying to remove any material. Trying to give it a fighting chance. And then I can look up through. That valve guide looks good all the way. Looks good. There we go. So now I know that the valve guides don't have any crud or anything stuck in them, and just run the ball hone through there a little bit, and it'll help it retain a little bit of oil, and they'll be good. So now all we got left to do is to fit our valves and check where they are, and I'll write my specs down over there so I have an idea where I'm going. We can wash them all. I'm going to lap them in because I like to do that, and then I'm going to wash them all out with soap and water and clean them all out to make sure they're nice and clean through all the passages, and then we'll start assembling. So now I'm going to go along and lap my valves in. Give me an idea where my seat is. A nice line in the middle of our valves. It's just what we're looking for. There. All right. So now I'm happy with where everything is. So we'll go along and wash and clean and thoroughly get everything out of there that we can. Then we'll take our measurements. I could probably take a few measurements here right now before I go to cleaning. So I may do that right now and double check my measurements on my board so that I can know where to move plus or minus and where to space my springs at for the cam that I'm going to run. So we're just going to final lap them in here, get the final lapping done. If I spray it out with brake clean, then the where it's lapped stands right out on it. It's hard to see, but I'll hold it up there anyway. Can't really see it in this light, I don't think, but there's a gray line all around. In any case, that's what we're looking for. Gray line in the center of the valve all the way around. That's just what we want now. We had quite a narrow little mark around there, you know, so we knew that the seat was fairly narrow. I measured it up, and I think they say it like to be 60 thou or 62 thou or something. But we like to see that mark in there as close as we can get. Sometimes, you know, when you're playing with things, you can't always get it right in the middle like that. But sometimes with a little bit of tweaking, you can. So I try to get it as close as I can, dealing with whatever you cut with heads to use. So. And our exhaust one is just fine. It's a little lower on there, but there's a shiny spot below the line there in between that before you get to the margin, so that will work fine. Okay, so That one's done, and I believe we have all our specs finished. So once again, I keep my board here with all my specs on each head and where the lift is at and what the bottom to valve clearance is and all those sorts of things. I've done quite a few videos on different sorts of things of how to check stuff. I believe each time you do one, you learn something. So I mean, I always feel good about that. So I keep track of this here, and when I'm all done, I'll take a good picture of it so that if I have to look back at some time on these heads, I'll know what happened to it. But it's a good idea to keep yourself all well organized, because it's easy to go, which one did I measure, what was that, how was that, and before you know it, you got a bunch of pieces of paper all over the place and you don't know what's what.
Oh, come on!
So I find this whiteboard helps me immensely in keeping track of things. Okay, let's get back at her. From the bottom collar to the top collar. So we have to make some room there somehow, whether I turn down the bottom collar. I'm just deciding what to do here. And I want to double check my intake valve for seating. Now that we're getting down to it, I'd like to go quickly back over them, make sure everything's matched up. I could probably move that a little bit, and that would, it's not going to bring me down as deep as I would like to go, but we'll have a look and see where we are. There we go. Also going to wash out all the valve springs, the crud that's in them. Sticky there. There's lots of different ways to get spring clearance, and I just took a small 10 thou cut or 15 thou cut out of the bottom to allow it to go down a little bit farther. And that was all I needed, so I really didn't need the other kinds of collars, etc. So I'm not going to go down in there far enough. Those collars. So a couple little things we had to do to make things work. First off, these little bottom collars, they're too small to put this kind of seal in. So I just turned them out a little bit so this kind of seal will go in there, because they're a lot nicer seal, that's for sure. And we've just turned a little bit out of the bottom of it, just to allow it to go down a little bit and give us our spring distance in there. So now, just to make sure that there's no problems in there, we're just cutting a little bit out of here to help the drain back and to make sure that our collar doesn't hit on there, because if I put it on there I could see a little mark. So we're just trying to trim that out a little bit, give me some clearance. Alright, looks like we've got it there. Trying to get more near the top. That looks like it. Stick a little piece of paper underneath it, just to make sure I've got clearance all around. And I do. All right. Oops. Shot of oil there. There we go. And we're not bound up in there. That's what we're looking for. So we need our front. And there we go. A little tap. And the intake to go. I'm gonna have to take this over to the lathe because this will not go in there. It will on the back side, but that slight little ridge is just enough to keep it from going in there, and I want to use these seals. So I'm gonna go over to the lathe and turn that out, and I'll be back. So, intake valve. Okay, we're down there. Just checking to make sure it's seated all the way down, and it is. All right. So there we go. First step for Margaret. Heads are redone and should be all good to go. And we're set up for our 450 lift cam. So just give it a little bit of perk. I think that's what I'm going to put in it. So glad to have those done. All right. Now to move on to something else. I don't know what'll be next. Probably gonna get them cases cleaned up, bead blasted, and line lapped, and we gotta get the rods done. We gotta get the cylinders done. We gotta get a bunch of things done. Let alone we have to work on Margaret herself and figure out what we're doing there for, you know, our tanks and our fenders and all such of things like that. So I haven't really got a plan. I got a half a plan, and I'm not going to go hog wild or crazy, but just try to make it a little bit tasteful and you know, something a little bit different to look at. So stick with us as we move along. All right. So if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave me some comments, do all those kind of things. It helps us to grow. Be sure to check out my buddies down south, Hippie's Chopper Corner and Slickhead's Custom Cycles. Those boys are doing different things down there, and I always get a kick out of watching them and seeing what they're doing. Also check out Gus in the city, and he's getting his shovel geared up now. At Gus, this old chopper, check him out there. We're all trying to just spread the word to everybody, and each one of us can teach each other different things as we go. So that's the fun of it all. All right, we'll see you on the next video.